All right, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Unpredictable Pipeline. In this series, we are talking to marketing leaders who have been navigating their teams, their companies, their customers, their industries through the headwinds of 2020. And very excited to have with us John Steinert. He's the CMO of TechTarget. And John, thanks for joining us. Hope things continue to go well for you guys out there.
It's great to be here, Matt. Sometimes I feel like the hardest working man in marketing, but then I get on with you and I feel humbled.
It's all relative. We're all doing the best we can between, different working conditions, different economic conditions, kids going to virtual school. It's a mess, but it's our mess, and we're making the best of it. So maybe just start with get like people that don't know TechTarget, just kind of give just a quick introduction of yourself, and then what TechTarget does.
Sure, I'm the CMO of TechTarget. My background is largely B2B tech, enterprise tech. I'm in the third decade now of doing that. So I've made all the mistakes that you can probably make, and I've learned quite a bit. And TechTarget is in its third decade as well. It started as a large publisher, the largest internet publisher about enterprise tech, and it built an infrastructure that enabled it to use a registration wall that provides permission to study what people are interested in when they're in a buying motion. And so that turned into the beginnings of what's now called intent data, which is a way of connecting people who are looking for technology solutions with the companies that are providing them. And that's what we're about now, connecting those folks in as efficient and a productive way for both sides.
Yeah. And you mentioned when we talked earlier that, this year has been a challenge, but you have a 3-year vision of where you want to take the company, take the business. And that, any given 3-year period, there's going to be headwinds. It's going to be come from a variety of different directions. But, you talked about pivot or sort of balancing sort of those short-term corrections with keeping your eye on the long-term vision. Talk a little bit about what that's like and sort of what are some best practices for just being disciplined enough to do that?
Well, I think part of the thing is when you wake up every day, it's easy to panic, or maybe when you go to sleep every day, it's easy to panic.
Yeah.
There is no end in sight to this predicament we're in. And so a lot of it is about mindset, because it's very easy to pursue your day super tactically, say, let me get all these things done on my list. But you are probably just like me. When I look at that part of my email that is, the unprioritized stuff, it just gets longer and longer. And so I can't do all the things that I have to do. And so the first part about it, I think, and the predictability is we can predict that we have no idea when this is going to change.
Right.
So it is accept reality. And then we have to think about, okay, what is essential? What is essential for me as a person? What is essential for my company? And how can I get more oriented around what is essential?
Yeah. Well, and keeping that, it seems even more important this year to be disciplined around that, but I don't think that's necessarily a new skill, right? Even if you're flush with cash, you still need to be smart about how you spend it. Even when, pipeline is a little easier to come by, you still have to be smart about focusing on your ideal customer profile and selling to the right people. But I think that part of that focus and part of that focusing on what's essential is accelerating trends that were happening already. And a lot of big changes, exponential change often happens a little slowly and then suddenly. Are there things you've seen in the sales and marketing world this year that you think have accelerated existing trends that were just happening slower, and then 2020 just pushed them sort of, into more of a mainstream?
Yeah, so absolutely. The first one is really obvious. We got to enable our workers to work remote, right? Seems pretty obvious. Probably should have done that, when commuting times were going beyond an hour. Probably should have thought about that. But that's the obvious one. So I would say, by extension, that is support your people. You have to support your people in doing their job effectively. And then that connects to kind of two ideas: support your people. The first one is your retained customers, support your customers. And then how are you going to support the effort to acquire new customers? And the extension there is you're going to have a support mindset. Mm-hmm. How do you help your targets get their work done? How do you help them survive? If you can't position, if you haven't positioned what you do in that kind of construct, in that context, it's time to think about modifying your positioning. So what you can do to help stands out.
Yeah. The other opportunity I've seen a lot of companies is, we're recording this, it's almost November, and a lot of people sort of have used this year as an opportunity to, maybe even go further on the innovation track, to think, okay, like, what are the things that we can do that might not be incremental changes to what we're doing, but exponential changes to the way we go to market, to what we offer to the market, everything from how we sell to how we manage our brand to, how we go to market with our product and service set. How do you use lessons from this year and in just the experience of this year to set new habits and discipline around staying innovative?
So I think it's about making sure that the fundamentals are secure in your company. So you could talk about, everybody wants to generate predictability now, except there is no way to generate predictability now. Mm-hmm. Right? Because so much is changing so quickly and it's relentless. So why not think about predictability in the future? Or let me say that better. Why not think about how can you generate predictability? And to your point, Matt, it is really about what are some of the things that have been nagging at us for mm-hmm. years, and we just haven't gotten around to them. So we're going to work on them now, because now is the time when things are bad, when we really need to face what's preventing us from creating a more structured, more rhythmic, more predictable set of outcomes for our company.
Yeah, I love it. Well, great advice all around. And John, maybe last question for you here. Thinking back to January, which was 14 years ago or something, what's something you miss from the pre-pandemic time that you're looking forward to getting back to when things sort of get a little bit back to normal? Maybe what's something that you don't miss that, relative to innovation and change is something that was part of previous normal that you're not going to make part of your normal moving forward? So
I do miss the ability to interact with my team physically. Mm-hmm. I think that for marketing leaders, for marketing people, and I extend that to sales folks, that the ability to sort of course correct in the moment, mm-hmm. where you don't have to set up an appointment, is really part of an agile operating style where being grouped together in a team can be really helpful. So I miss that. But we're learning to do things more agilely, in the remote world. Another thing I miss is being able to think about big picture things more often. Mm-hmm. So what I'm recommending here is something that I'm recommending to myself, right? It is reminding myself to be disciplined and think about the long term. And I've mm-hmm. talked about repositioning your company and working on its ability to fulfill better for its targets. Yeah. Part of that as a CMO is where we need to take the brand. Yeah. How we need to present the brand, and then how I can make my company work to deliver on the brand promise. So I wanted to make one plug here, Matt. Please. Because in your questions, there is this book that I've read and I've recommended it to a lot of people. It's called The Power of Bad. It's by two guys named Tierney and Baumeister. Baumeister's a psychologist. And the point it raises is that something about human nature focuses always on the bad. And if mm-hmm. if we create things like bad experiences for our customers, mm-hmm. those are far more memorable than the good experiences. Yeah. So all of us are making bad experiences, in the moment now as we strive to get short-term results. Yeah. So what I want to stress here is that's going to take some undoing. So if you can avoid it, if you can avoid creating bad experiences now, it may come back to actually help you. Right? So try to do what's right, folks. That's what I'm saying. Try to do what's right. Try to not do the things that, you're panicking about.
Easier said than done sometimes. It's really good advice. I'm going to check out that book. But, when you think about the long game and you think, what do we want to be known for? What do we want our brand to be known for?
Yeah.
Decisions exactly you make in a stressful moment, in a moment of anxiety sometimes, either as an individual, as a leader, as a brand, as a company, those are going to last longer than today and this week and this moment in the year and in our lives. So great advice, John. Thank you so much. I loved your thought about kind of thinking about the big picture more often. I think it's really easy just in general, whether we're in a pandemic or not, just to stare at our same four walls and just to do the same things and just to think incrementally and not sort of step back and think about sort of bigger ideas, sometimes that are crazy, sometimes they're ridiculous, but I think that's where we find the innovation.
Yeah, and you said, what did I miss? And I talked about interacting with people. That's one of the things that's really helpful to check out. And I'm going to try to do that more remotely. Ask, what am I missing here?
Yeah.
What am I screwing up? Ask your people, because as you go sort of headlong forward, it's really easy to forget the impact you're having on other people or lack thereof.
Yeah, I agree. Well, John Steinert, CMO of TechTarget, thank you so much for sharing a little more about this year, your unpredictable pipeline, and best of luck rest of this year and into next year.
And to you and to everybody else. Thanks.
Thank you.